Legion, aka David Haller, is hailed as one of the most powerful mutants in the X-Men universe, and he has even won the approval of Professor X. Legion contains the power of innumerable Omega-level mutants that are trapped within his mind, and such power comes with great responsibility. He typically uses a wristband to contain his power, but he can also create spontaneous mutations at any given point in order to unleash his full potential. Today, we will explore the powers of this ultra-powerful mutant and tell you all about the anatomical features of Legion. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is David Haller, aka Legion? Born as David Haller, Legion was the son of Professor Charles Xavier and Gabrielle Haller. While Charles ran the Xavier Institute, Gabrielle went on to become the Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom after the two briefly had an affair in Israel. Charles was unaware of David's existence when he left Israel, and Gabrielle hid her pregnancy from him and raised David on her own. His powers manifested after a traumatic incident in his teens, and he had quite a hard time controlling them. This incident left him catatonic, and he later developed autism as well. Gabrielle decided to send him to Moira McTaggart's research facility on Muir Island in the hopes that it would benefit him, and this is where he came across Charles. When Charles got wind of his son's existence, he initially tried to suppress his powers and distance himself. He was afraid that David might be unable to control his powers, and he often went to great lengths to try and restrain him. However, Moira McTaggart's journal entry suggests that Moira and Charles had carefully planned David's birth after Charles felt the need for a mutant with reality warping abilities. As time passed, David got better at wielding his mutant skills, and soon started going by the name Legion, as his mind contained a legion of personalities. How did David Haller show signs of his mutant abilities? At some point, David lived with his mother in Paris while she was part of the Israel Diplomatic Service. During her service, David and his mom faced trouble when a terrorist assassination team broke into their homes with the intention of killing any Israeli they could find. They located David's stepfather, Daniel Shomron, and murdered him in cold blood right in front of David. While David was a gentle boy, this incident terrorized him and served as a catalyst that boosted his mutant abilities. In a shocking turn of events, his latent psionic powers manifested in the real world, and David then used these powers to incinerate the entire terrorist assassination team. While he killed every last one of them, he realized that he could feel the pain and read the minds of his victims as they took their last breaths. David did kill them all, but the sheer horror of this incident, paired with the traumatic experience of having to feel his victims' pains, led to him to fall into a catatonic state. Meanwhile, the consciousness of the team's leader, Jamel Karami, was absorbed by David's mind, and Karami's consciousness soon merged with David's. While David had no intentions of keeping Karami's consciousness captive, the terrorist team's leader had to struggle a lot before freeing himself from David's mind. Even after regaining his sense of self, Karami could not free his consciousness from David's mind, but he did realize that he gained some of David's powers while freeing himself. One of these powers enabled Karami to read David's mind with the help of a telepathic link, and he was quite surprised to learn that David was a gentle, caring individual. After getting a better understanding of his mind, Karami decided that he needed to help David's mind return to normalcy. However, David's mind had become a melting pot of several personalities, and all his trauma had caused his personality to split into innumerable alters. Every single personality within his mind had a unique psionic power. Karami helped David reintegrate these personalities within his core self and gain better control over his newfound mutant abilities.
Disappeared. She didn't disappear. She took my place.
What are Legion's primary mutant abilities? Legion is an Omega-level mutant who suffers from dissociative identity disorder and is primarily known for his reality-altering powers. He can alter reality and time at a cosmic level, and he boasts several psionic powers. Over time, Legion has incorporated over 200 personalities within his body, but his regular self, David Haller, actually does not have any mutant abilities of his own. All of Legion's powers come from his ability to manipulate reality on a subconscious level and gain different powers under different personas. In theory, Legion could create any desired personality on a subconscious level and then wield its powers. While wielding the power of these other personalities, Legion sometimes loses control over his regular self. In a few instances, Legion's personalities have triggered physical transformations, wherein he turns into a woman, takes the form of a werewolf, or grows a prehensile tongue. Legion's mind can create new alternate personalities if the situation demands, but a few of his popular personalities were Jamel Karami, Jack Wayne, and Cindy. These personalities had unique powers of their own, and the cumulative abilities of all these identities shaped Legion into a powerful mutant. Besides creating new alters, Legion could absorb other psyches in his mind. He could also separate these psyches and personalities from his body and enable them to function as separate entities in the real world. While Legion could detach himself from these personalities, he did have the power to reabsorb them back into his body whenever he desired. Of course, Legion's ability to exert control over his personalities greatly depended on his self-confidence and self-esteem. Since he often doubted himself and felt like he was lacking somewhere, he struggled to exercise control over them. All these powers stemmed from his primary ability to alter reality and time, and he had once displayed this power on a cosmic level when he wiped the Elder Gods from existence. By doing so, he essentially reset the universe by returning things to a time when the Elder Gods had not appeared on Earth. How does a wristband help Legion handle his power? In order to help Legion control his powers, Dr. Nemesis, Madison Jeffries, and Reed Richards came together to create the neural switchboard wristband. The wristband stimulated cells in the thalamus and neocortex, creating a direct link between Legion's mind and the minds of his alters. This helped him command his alters and exert more control over their abilities without being too overwhelmed by them. The wristband played a key role in enabling Legion to use the powers of his alters without letting the personalities affect his mind in any way. He could absorb hundreds of personalities. After Bishop dispersed Legion, he ended up in a realm known as No Time, after being banished from reality. Despite being out of touch with the world we know, Legion somehow managed to get into contact with hundreds of minds in this realm, and soon started absorbing their personalities. He kept getting exponentially more powerful after absorbing more and more personalities, and he finally managed to return to reality. While No Time was a death sentence of sorts, it is no surprise that Legion found a way to grow powerful and find a way to conquer it. Exploring some of his most powerful personalities, while Legion had over 200 Omega-level mutant personalities within him, a few were more powerful than the others. One such personality was Timesync, who had the ability to create portals that transcend beyond time, space, or even slow down time. Timesync had used these powers to create the Age of Apocalypse timeline that stirred up a lot of chaos for the mutants, and he could also look into the future. Legion sometimes sought inspiration from the people in his life while creating new alters, and one such personality was Moira Kinross. Kinross's personality was inspired by Moira McTaggart, who looked after Legion during his time on Muir Island. Moira could create alternate universes and rewrite reality, which was inarguably one of Legion's most powerful alters. Another one of Legion's personalities, the Origamist, gained his name from his ability to fold reality as if it were origami paper. The Origamist appeared in the form of a sumo wrestler and had the ability to fold space and transport Legion anywhere across the universe. While discussing Legion's personalities, it would be a crime not to bring up Styx, a personality modeled after Legion's darkest sides. Styx was an undead monster with the ability to perform telepathy and create illusions, and his frightening appearance was an adept reflection of the terror he unleashed. Styx even had the ability to steal someone's mind and soul by just touching them, and then turning them into zombie slaves that serve him. Once unleashed, Styx was quite difficult to deal with, and Legion had to seek the X-Men's help in bringing him under control. While Legion sometimes sought the X-Men's help, one of his personalities, Chain, could turn anyone into his clone and create an army of fighters. Chain could single-handedly create a huge army of clones, and each clone had a different weapon that could be used to do some serious damage to their opponents. What is Legion's consolidating power? Since Legion's powers result from the multiple personalities that exist within his head, he has access to innumerable powers and unique abilities at any given time. While this may seem like an advantage, the sheer number of identities makes it impossible for him to utilize the full potential of every single identity. To gain control over them, Legion started consolidating these personalities by merging them with his primary, David Haller personality. In this way, all these powers exist within his primary body, and he can access them whenever he desires by focusing on them. Could Legion create his duplicates? Legion displays the ability to create numerous duplicates for himself, and this came as quite a shock to fans who believed that he could only create multiple personalities within his head. The physical manifestation of this power was accidental, and the X-Men were also quite shocked to see David's duplicates flood the place. Eventually, David worked alongside the X-Men to absorb these physical copies back into his body, and he accidentally even absorbed Rogue as a result. Did his relationship with Moira McTaggart leave a lasting impact? After Legion moved to Muir Island to live at the Mutant Research Facility there, he came in touch with Moira McTaggart, the founder of the said facility. Moira was already aware of the recent developments in Legion's life, and she knew all about his link to Xavier when Charles showed up at the facility to help Legion get better. In the meantime, Legion had absorbed the personalities of two of Moira's assistants, and one of them even took the form of Moira in his head. Moira would look after Legion and also play the role of his primary caregiver at the facility, and it is no surprise that she impacted Legion to a great extent. Moira had also greatly struggled due to her internal psyche, and she genuinely understood Legion and ensured that he felt safe. All of this left quite a lasting impact on Legion, who eventually created a version of Moira that existed within his head and expressed her concerns for his well-being. Why did he wipe himself from existence one time? Exploring the blindfold impact on Legion. In X-Men Legacy, Legion found himself in quite some trouble as he tried to process Xavier's death and all the destruction he had caused after losing control over his powers and reshaping the entire universe. Legion was quite influenced by Blindfold, who was tasked with delivering Xavier's last message to his son. Xavier wanted to ensure that Legion learned that he was proud of him, and there was no one better than Blindfold to get this message across. While many fans did not like the story arc, the writer stated that this was his intended story arc from the start. Simon Spurrier, one of the writers of X-Men Legacy, said that their goal for Legion was that he should finally reach a place where he can let go of his enemies, past mistakes, pride, and even his inability to trust others due to his mental illness. After Blindfold talked to him, Legion accepted his destiny and finally embraced his powers. He decided to wipe himself from existence instead of playing God, which was quite a brave decision on his part. It isn't easy to give up a position of power, but we learn that Legion gained the strength to make this decision due to the influence that Blindfold had on him. Blindfold, or Ruth Aldine, was born without eyes, and she felt like an outcast even among other mutants at the Xavier Institute. However, she found comfort in Legion's presence, and she even felt that she was free from her troubles whenever she existed within Legion's mind. While this benefited Blindfold, Legion also grew confident in her presence and learned to control his personalities to a greater extent. Blindfold ended up becoming his voice of reason, and she compelled Legion to become a better man and make decisions that would mutually benefit them and society in general. All these factors contributed to his decision to fight his demons, wipe himself from existence, and embrace his father's legacy. Is Legion immortal? Legion is said to be nearly immortal, and his immense power and strength suggest that he cannot be easily defeated or killed. Even when Bishop killed him to prevent the Age of Apocalypse, Legion was not completely eradicated. A few fragmented personalities within his body appeared in the form of spirits. In the New Mutant comics, Legion somehow returned to life, and we later learned that he was brought back to life by magic, with the hopes that he would successfully destroy the Elder Gods. Even if someone else hadn't revived him, Legion's multiple personalities could never be completely destroyed and could return in the form of spirits. There is a tiny risk that these personalities might dominate or destroy David's primary personality. However, in that case, David has the ability to create duplicate copies of himself that could still exist in the world even if he died. After dying recently in X-Men Legacy, we are yet to see David return, but we do know that some parts of his identity remain in Blindfold's mind, and that he can make a comeback. Conclusion. To sum it up, Legion has proved his versatility and strength over the years, and he has most definitely earned the title of the most powerful mutant in the X-Men universe. From his ability to contain multiple personalities in his head to his near immortality, Legion has captivated the audience's attention and has become quite a renowned name among the X-Men. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.